Hello, Commanders, and welcome to the RNG Endgame, a podcast about the game Marvel Strike Force. Your hosts are Frid and Creative. We're leaders in an alliance from a large cluster, and would like to share our insights with you to hopefully improve your gameplay and overall experience, and give you a little entertainment.
All right, so here we are, another week, another episode, number 21. And I'm going to start with my gearing and leveling. So I'm calling this How to Spend 51 Million in 28 Days. And you'll see why that matters in the Run the Numbers section. But it's tied to the milestone with Symbiote Spiderman. So for somebody like me that likes to run the numbers and be comfortable that I'm getting the max value, this is not as easy as it seems. I can see some people being like shaking their head. Oh, come on. Really? You have all this gold and you can't figure out what to do? They would probably spend it really quickly. But I like to make sure I'm not wasting resources. So, of course, I created a master plan on a spreadsheet to try to figure this out. I came up with about $40 million gold worth of spending over the next 28 days. So I'm still going to be short of the milestones if I want to max it out. But I am going to get a bunch of characters to 7 that have been in the waiting room. And that also helps me finish some of the content. So for example, Iron Man that I've been thinking about for Power Armor. You know, I'll do Hawkeye, which is sad, but I'll be able to complete that event. Then there's the Hand Sorceress. I finished that, and it actually let me do the Relic Hunt event, which is the hand event that gives you ABCs and SBCs. I could only do 2 stars because of their levels. I didn't want to spend any more. I was 1 hit away from 3-starring it, but I gave up, and maybe I'll try it next time. With the completion of this, I now have over 1,000 ABCs. So that'll help me with the gearing up that I'm planning on for the next 3 weeks. Part of it is going to be bringing up the Asgardians and the Black Order, and it's mostly just to level 70. And the main reason for prioritizing this is because I noticed that Creative has a little slightly better Asgardians and Black Order, so I need to fix that immediately. So I'll do some leveling. I'll also bring the X-Force. I've been talking about this for a while, but haven't done it yet, to the parking lot. And then some war teams, Supernatural, Mercenaries, the Brotherhood 2.0, I'm going to bring to 65. And all of that will also include an evaluation of T4s, especially for Asgardians and Black Order. But more on that in a little bit. I had decided when we debated that I was gonna do Symbiote Spider-Man with my Chaos Theory promotion credits, and of course he has not shown up all week. I saw Thanos, I saw Sinister, which was tempting, but I'm sticking to Symbiote. I think I've been using it every day in U7, and I've maxed out all of his abilities, and he's just a ridiculous character. Every ability that he does is crazy, basically. So I'm really hyped up on him, and I'm going to hold and do the 5 red stars. So when I do City, I mean, he's mandatory, so I'll be ready for that. City in DD3. So I max his T4, so the next step is we're trying to figure out, because I get this value trap of which are the right T4s and how do we decide, and we've come up with priorities that are somewhat subjective based on what we're doing. So I've created a project for myself of typing in all the rankings that are out there for the essential T4s across some of the content creators, and we'll see what it says in terms of which priorities. And I'm organizing this by teams to try to make it manageable. But we always give the advice that just focus on your arena, raid, and DD3 if you're there, or DD2, whatever, teams first to get those abilities maxed out within those particular characters, because that's what gives you the most resources, right? And then once you're done with those, and you start looking at the teams. And it's better to do teams together, right? So that you get the most out of a team that maybe not winning as much in Blitz, you put several T4s and now it's a fully formed team and it can help you in war, etc. So at least that's my approach because I feel like that's gives you the best bang for the buck. So anyway, we'll compile all of this and maybe we'll share some of the highlights of what we found in a future episode. It's a bunch of data entry by hand that I'm doing, looking at infographics and plugging in numbers. And then the final item is red stars. As you remember, we tried everything last week with X23. We opened them on the show. I opened them with Seed Theory. So I threw all that away and used my daughter's superpowers, which is another thing. It's not Seed Theory. She just has a superpower. She got me Negasonic, and guess what happened? She pulled a 5 red star X23 out of an Elite 5, but at least she got the right character. So I remember not doing it with Domino and paying the price as she's still at 2. So note to self, just open them with my daughter and we will be in good shape. So I'm excited about building this team, but the problem is, they're not going to be farmable until 2027. So we'll wait patiently for that.
And in terms of your ability T4s, you have your next set of priorities, or is this exercise helping you get there?
Yeah, I looked at it, and that's what I started doing some work on the individual sheet, the priorities, and
right.
And it drove me to this conclusion, like I can't decide. Let me go look at what everybody's saying to get a good consensus, and
right.
then I'll put in my own opinion. Obviously, I don't follow this stuff blindly, but that was the reason. I'm done with the main ones that I wanted to do.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, what do I do next? I think it's probably gonna be like Black Order or something like that because that team is crazy. So that's a pretty no-brainer. But I do want to see what people are saying and what's the best.
Okay.
So.
Well, we could chat offline outside of the show and do that same kind of exercise that we did several weeks back. I think that helped us both. And the answer is yes, Black Order. Cool.
For sure.
Yeah, on the topic of Black Order, I have gotten everyone but Corvus to T13 and Maw is at T14. By the time the show comes out, the entire team will be T13 or better. And so Frid is trying to chase me, and I will keep going with that team to ensure dominance over him. My one team. And then as soon as I got Maw to T, the reason I did him instead of Corvus to 13 first was I wanted to put him in DD3. First day I put him in there, I got 10 million on the node 3, the Miss Marvel node. So that was pretty good. And of course, I ended up in the same place as you. It's a bunch of Miss Marvels, a BP, and a Gamora, and it'll take 10 days or whatever.
Well, but I never did 10 million. I mean, Maw is a game changer then. And in Cosmic, he will be, I'm pretty sure. So.
And you're still in global nodes?
Yep. I finished node 7 this morning. I was telling you that I messed up at the end, but anyway, it's done.
Okay.
And now node 8, I looked, it's got 50-something million, 50 million plus, like health. Grief. It takes like 20 attempts, so it's going to be another 2 weeks or something like that on that one. I hear it's not as annoying as node 7, but they just kill you repeatedly because it's full synergy teams. So you have power armor, shield, and then Sinister Six and a supernatural, all full, the whole thing. And
awesome.
They just kill you over and over again. You just got to keep going with the whole Phoenix thing. So nothing useful that you'll gain from this, but it'll be done. And then I'll move over to Cosmic. Okay.
As usual, DD3, the mode that keeps on giving. So one thing I did want to share for our listeners and maybe even you. So I've taken Sinister up as one of my original 5. And, a lot of people talk about, well, you got to make sure you clone this or that. I find I use his special more often than not. One is, as soon as you spawn, he gets 3 energy. So his special is typically around because he lasts a turn or 2. And Using Phoenix with Sinister, I do Phoenix's special first, stealths everyone, and that gives stealth and defense up to Sinister, and then I use Sinister's special, and that stealths and gives defense up back to Phoenix, and that way she's guaranteed to get her ult off, or at least has a very good chance of getting her ult off. And the other biggie is that she gets offense up. So I've been doing that and getting 4 million instead of like 3 million. So I haven't been worried about cloning stuff really with him. I've just been doing it's only 2 turns that you get to do anyway.
Yeah.
So I do that, but it gets her to do it's a better chance of getting her ult off without having to play it 10 times, and then she gets to do it with offense up. So a little tidbit.
Yeah, I had to actually use the clone ability in the Iron Fist of Node 7 because you need the little extra damage, so you get like a Killmonger or somebody that can hit. But yeah, I did notice that offense up is really really good because it all happens sort of at the timing is right, basically. The way you get killed all the time, like 2 turns.
And then I was looking at my node that I'm in, which is node 3, way behind you, and I'm seeing people are now going through the second time, some even the third time, which I don't know why you would, but we're at least seeing people going through the second time with full teams. And a team that I'm seeing over and over in my node and others in the top 10 is Ultron, Maw, Thanos, Symbiote, Spiderman, and Minerva. And that team, and of course they're all like 100k or something, they're all doing 50 plus million damage on a lot of these nodes. So for the folks that did Ultron, sounds like he still has value. I see him throughout all of the first 4 nodes and the global nodes in the top 10. So he's just expensive, and I wanted to get Minerva and Shuri in instead of just Ultron. So, but seems like he has value, and I know you're getting value out of him, even those few pieces that you did in Arena and other things. So,
well, Thanos is an interesting one here. I guess it's for the energy for Minerva and Ebony Maw, because that's their downfall, is they're slow. But
yeah, and
the battery of Thanos, sort of, because it's not like things are dying too much, but
right.
Some energy is good energy.
Yeah, I can't wait till tomorrow when I have to do Maul next time around, and his cooldowns are all gone. It'll be like 3 days before he gets them all back.
Just sit there waiting for that to come back. Yep.
Let's see what else. Arena, I am still not beating the Black Order consistently. It's like 1 out of 3. But just for our listeners, they don't see the screenshots that we share back and forth. The top 3 guys are all whalish, and they have, I think the weakest, and I put weakest in quotes, is 425,000 power, and almost the entire team, maybe just one member is not T4. So the entire team is nearly T4. So I'm struggling quite a bit against those, but that team is just so much higher than my Black Order killer. So, but I have been getting consistently in the top 5. I have raised Captain Marvel to level 72, helping me fight against the non-Black Order teams and take out Ebony Maw first round, which makes the fight 1,000 times easier. Yeah. And then for whatever reason, you never know what it is, if people are not attacking you or you're actually winning, but my team is holding fast pretty well. I think today was the lowest I've been in a while at 10 when I woke up. So 1 or 2 fights and I'm back right now, looking at the Black Order team that I struggle against.
That I think that may have been remember you're saying, how are you doing this? And I think that ability to kill Maw,
it's huge.
It's huge. But then when it's a full Black Order, then you have to deal with Call Obsidian. There's no way around him. But the Captain Marvel, I think, was the difference. She's still rocking and rolling in my arena, so I get value out of her.
Yep.
She also popped up as 5 stars, and I was like, but no, I need to stick with Symbiote. That's the way to go.
The power of the symbiotes.
I know.
And so we've seen a couple videos this week, and the first one I talk about is Arena. Duartic, our favorite kind of alternate view on things guy came out and yet again talking about his 6 red star Magneto, and I think he's got a 6 red star Mystique, but he proposed another team to take on the Black Order, which was Magneto, Mystique, Sinister, Ultron, and Phoenix. And basically the combination of applying the blinds through Magneto and then cloning either Maw or Cull really, really worked well. So he has a video out there. It's, again, these are high characters that he has. He's got Magneto and Mystique at T14 and all that, but it's still a very interesting concept. For those that are struggling against Black Order, that could be another way to look at it beyond the team that we've talked about of Colossus and Invisible Woman with Phoenix, Black Bolt, and Ultron. And then what else? Fun in the Sun, we didn't really talk about that, but I way overshot it, meaning that I finished it with 4 days to go. But I did, get all through the orb things and all that. So I'm just opening up a few more of the orange firework orbs, but we got through that, and because of that, I am going to, over the next week to week and a half, already got Maul done. I'm going to get Symbiote Spider-Man done to T14 and then Min to T14. So I'll practically have 2 full teams wailing away, which is fantastic. So again, to Fox Next, very, very generous rewards. We just wish it didn't have to go with a ridiculous amount of blitzing, because I am burnt out big time on Blitz.
Oh my god, I don't know that I can do it anymore. I also finished with plenty of time to spare, but it's just like this mode is the most ridiculous thing that we still have. I did want to mention that with the Cable 5's Reds, I have X-23, Negasonic, and Cable at 5, Deadpool at 4, and then the Lucky Lady at 2. So that's why I am also kind of hyped on the X-Force. And generally, newer teams are power creep, They are a little bit one-dimensional, like Fantastic Four, where it's a war offense. But for Blitz and stuff, they work. So I'm willing to spend a little bit on them.
Okay. With
all those red stars.
Yeah, so not as detailed as you, because you're looking to spend the 1.825 million a day for Symbiote Spider-Man. I'm only doing the 1.2, but I've got a plan to finish off Black Order, finish off those T14 characters, and then I'm going to improve some of my, particularly more war defense. So I've got a little more work to do on Asgardians. My Hydra team, I got to a bare minimum level. They need to be a little bit higher. I'm also going to be bringing up Carnage to start fooling around with Symbiote, Spider-Man, and him. So I've looked at that, and then last week Squirrel Girl was announced. I'm giving her a hard look. I'm pretty high on her. She has some abilities that make Shuri's Legend, who is a legendary character, look kind of meh. So. And then we've heard a lot of content creators this week kind of jump on the bandwagon as well. So we still haven't seen her stats and all that kind of stuff, but the abilities alone look pretty cool. So that's kind of my big thing. But the war defense is really about just continuing to embarrass Frid and make sure he knows that I will dominate him in war. And of course, I took a screenshot of our last war where I had more attack points, more damage, etc., etc. Neither one of us got the MVP because one of our teammates just blew everything out of the water, did like 9 million in damage, which was just crazy. So. But I got to keep the Asgardians and Black Order going, and then get some more DVs than not Frid.
Just you wait. Asgardians are coming. I'm gonna do Mercenaries, and X-Force will give me like a bunch of other points. So be prepared.
Yep. And then we'll apply, the formula of I have 2 months behind you, plus my collection power is less. No, I'm kidding. It's all good fun.
All excuses. I hit my 30th war MVP, all with this alliance, by the way, which was kind of interesting. I don't know how many wars we played, but they've all been with this alliance, and 30 MVPs, pretty good.
Absolutely. Okay, I think that's probably the big things. Premium orbs. Last week I got lucky. This week, not so much. No min, no yo-yo. So
So,
yeah, go ahead.
question there. Are you opening as they go? I've started to hoard everything again like a crazy person. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Should I be opening them or think of me, I
Um,
have like now almost like 80 or 90 characters at 7 stars. So what am I supposed to do with these?
well, so characters that we can't farm are in the premium orbs, right?
Mhm.
So Black Order and other things are there. So I'm going to continue to open them, but I'm going to open them 10 at a time. Because
Okay.
again, my conspiracy theory for or whatever it was from last week, I do better when I open 10 at a time. I do
You
the
do
same.
the advance option, just hit it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So I get better results with that, but it's just really just because I'm seeing 10 openings at the same time, not necessarily anything else. But I'm going to do that, and then even the milestone orbs, I'm going to keep opening those 10 at a time as well.
I have 11, so maybe it's time to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
All right, not gonna do it here though, because that doesn't work as last week.
Yep. So that's the kind of the big things there. We'll keep giving everybody updates on how we're doing there. But I want to switch gears and let's run the numbers. And this week, we saw the return of the Symbiote Spider-Man Milestones, finally, which is it's a couple weeks late, but it's back nonetheless. And as Frid talked about, he's looking at how to maximize his gold spin. But we want to run you the numbers for you and just give you the quick overview. First and foremost, the numbers did not change. So if you did any tracking spreadsheets or anything else before, it is all the same detail. Unfortunately, Fox Next did not decide to return back to higher numbers from Coulson, Mysterio, etc., but it is what it is. So let's break it down really quickly. So from the daily campaign energy spin, it's really every other day, you get 7 shards per week. From World Warrior, you'll get 6 shards. So over the 4 weeks of the event, campaign energy and World Warrior only get you a paltry 52 shards. Sad face.
hmm That's where the gold comes in.
Exactly. So now we start talking about spending some moolah. So the maximum amount of shards that you can get for spending gold, World Warrior, and campaign energy is 192. So if you are not quite at 5 stars, so sorry, you are not going to get a 6-star symbiote unless you buy an offer. But the max you can get is 192 shards. And to do that, we're assuming you're doing your energy. We're assuming you're hitting World Warrior milestones. So it really comes down to spending the gold. And if you spend 1.825 million, so nearly 2 million in gold per day, you can earn those illustrious 192 shards. And to accomplish this feat, you have to have a mere 26 million gold on hand at the start of the event and be an extreme late game player so that you are earning, over 900,000 per day. So, Frid, have you stockpiled enough gold?
I did. I did have. I mean, I have some orbs, so it depends there. But I had like 23 million, so close enough. I think if payday rolls around, that'll get it done.
Okay.
Plus my events, I run more than what we estimate when Squirrel Girl comes. I use more cores, so I think I'll have enough gold to do the 192.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go all the way. And Creative was criticizing me because he's gonna sit there at like 30 of 300 for 6 months. And I said, well, that's value by spending gold that I have anyway.
Yeah,
what else is there to do?
No, that's great. Yeah.
And that's what I'm planning on. Yep.
And then X23 will magically come in some gold spinning event and you'll curse the world.
That's right. It'll be like, now that you spent all your gold, here's how to earn something cool with more gold.
Yep.
Oh, man.
All right. So 1.8 million gold per day. That gets you the maximum amount of shards. The next tier down is 1.25 million per day. That's what I'm targeting. And that will net you 164 shards over the course of the entire event. And you need to have about 9.6 million gold at the start of the event to spend that much along with your daily earnings. And then lastly, To earn 136 shards, you would spend 825k per day, and that is cost neutral for anyone that is an in-game player because we earn more than that per day on average. So wanted to run those numbers for you really quick. We've been hyping up Symbiote Spider-Man and Frid. We'll talk about it in a minute, but watching some videos of Symbiote Spider-Man, I kept going back to like when he came out, and I'm like, this guy is awesome. He's fantastic, and I'm at that level excited again. So I'm excited to get him to T14.
Yeah. So what we don't know is what the fate of him is going to be once this is all said and done. And one thing I wanted to mention is that they said that they had changed the length and structure of the rewards because they may change it later. And we thought, it's to make it more generous, maybe in one of the runs. But that never happened. It was identical, right? All 3 times?
Absolutely.
So that was another one of those...
not so fast.
Yeah, the low quality time promise from February that we're still waiting on. And so, yeah, that was disappointing. But and then we also don't know the fate. So if he ends up in the Milestone Orb again, like Coulson or Mysterio or Captain Marvel, Mysterio was made farmable. Now, I don't see him making this team legendary unlock, so I suspect it's going to be split 3 ways between, or maybe Captain Marvel finally comes out of there, and Coulson and him are the 2. And that's not good, but it's probably the way they're going, if I had to guess.
Interesting. Okay. So hopefully everybody's prepared, willing, and able to unlock Symbiote Spider-Man. Again, he appears to be quite strong in raids and then Dark Dimension. So even if you're doing Dark Dimension 2, he has value there. All right, with that, let's switch gears to talk about the news.
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
And so we saw the in-game announcement about a patch because it's, the beginning of the month and they need to give us 3 more characters. So here's a patch. Things that are coming really quickly to run through this. X23 Blitz is on Thursday, and we're burned out, so hopefully we'll recharge our batteries and just ignore Yondu.
I told Creative earlier that I had lost the will to Blitz. I can't do it anymore. I don't know what I'm gonna do for X23. It's because it's gonna be crazy again with these scores. We never talked about the botting thing, but apparently they're cracking down on that. So we'll see. This is the first true test, right, of a new character after that came down. So we'll see what happens to the scores.
We will indeed. And we'll see if Foxnex is really banning anyone. What else? Quick run through is Beast is coming, finally. Unfortunately, he is still, in my opinion, and I say in my opinion, not going to make the X-Men a raid team. And so I was hoping that he would have some sort of mechanic to resurrect Phoenix and prevent the Dark Phoenix, and you would have to spend cores on the next node. Unfortunately, that does not come to pass, but he does have passive healing on turn. He generates healing from his special, and then even his alt gives regeneration. Ultimately, his kit looks really cool, but his value really looks like most like the Kingpin type character. You can plug in any team and he makes them a little bit better. So I don't see any need for me to really go after him, but Fred, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm not sure because it's so early, but I've watched some videos of people that I'd like to analyze this, and they're pretty hyped up thinking this is OP, and mostly it's because of 2 reasons. And it's the basic right. that he has. It's like what is it?
It's Venom. Yeah.
It's like the Venom, the flip.
Yep.
Which is a special that has cooldown. It's his basic. And it's more than Venom because it's adjacent.
Yeah.
It's crazy on a basic. It's like the Shuri, that has adjacent. But instead of applying heal block, it flips. I think across all those characters. It's insanity. So when he assists because of Storm or whatever, he's going to be doing this. And then the second part is the versatility, which you kind of hit on, where, sure, the fact that he may be like a Kingpin, but it's actually a good character because the buffs that he provides on his special, or is it the ultimate? One of the 2, it applies across the board. It's not limited to just X-Men. So think about teams that are incomplete, like Marauders Well, for a short period of time, apparently, because Emma Frost, they think is going to be a Marauder. No news there yet, just some tease. Or think of the Symbiotes that they're missing 2 team members. Yeah. You can plug him in there, and it'll benefit all of those. Plus, do this crazy thing that he does by himself. Or you can use them in existing full teams to replace, weak 5th like Karnak or Elsa Bloodstone or whatever. You could throw him in there, and everybody gets a benefit. Plus, he has by himself just a lot of utility.
Yep.
And my X-Men are my best team with Wolverine at junk. So, because I've never done Cyclops, that's part of my plan. But he could be another one that I add to the already very strong X-Men.
Yep.
I have, just to remind Creative, he loves Red Stars. I have a Red Star, 5 Red Stars, Psylocke, Storm, and Phoenix. 5.
I still have my 5 Red Star Cyclops that's sitting at 4 Yellow Stars. So, I mean, when is that guy coming around? Where's that in the news? So anyway, it'll be interesting to see how he plays out. One of the other things was a new advanced option. Could it be? Will it be Blitz automation? What do you think, Fred?
Well, there's some speculation around that, but I don't think so. But I think it's gonna be something around Blitz. It's not the automation that I think that button that we saw.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be something. I just can't think of what they go down. Maybe something about tearing down, since they're using these events, and that's the lowest of quality times, right? Of going in and losing, hitting all those buttons. So maybe they offer that. Although that goes against how they designed the mode, so I don't know. However, here's some things that I think they could do to Blitz, and I wanted to talk through these real quick and see what you think. So, one is the one we covered when we talked about Disney Sorcerer's Arena. The fact that you start the next match on auto already.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would save us so much time as you're going through these clicks that you don't have to go to the top left and hit auto and just do it that way. That's small, it's not very useful, but it saves some aggravation. The second one is a very interesting thing that I'm porting over from AFK Arena. I don't play this game anymore, but when I used to, they had a mode that you would go in and you would send your characters on like a mission, like a mining mission. They would go away for 2 hours to do whatever it was and bring you back the rewards. Now, in that game, it was done 1 a day. But here, if you want it to happen every 2 hours, you could do it in a way that you set up, here, send these 27 teams to go fight and bring back whatever you get.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily auto, but and you can't use the tunes while they're doing that. So if you wanted to run a quick blitz because you're bored, you couldn't. They're locked, sort of doing their mission. I don't know. Maybe.
That sounds pretty advanced for Fox Next. I don't see that happening.
Yeah. Then the other one I'm thinking is a blind auto where you pick your team and just hit auto. You don't see what the opponent is, and then you get the results. So maybe you hit a bad matchup. You can't tell. I can see this one that's them doing it, where that's a disadvantage because you can't shop, and that's the penalty you pay for hitting auto. And just hope for the best. If you had the Asgardians on the other side, well, too bad. I don't know. And then finally would be even more advanced, where you can set up and pick your, hey, it's like a queue, right? You go shopping and say, I'm going to fight this guy with the X-Men, then move on to the Inhumans. I'm going to fight this team, and then run the whole thing like that, which that sounds like a lot of coding and things that are not set up.
Well, you'd have to come up with like a scoring of a random team, which would be interesting. So you'd have to, I don't know if people know statistical stuff for like sports betting, but you give teams like a ranking, and then you'd have to rank individual characters, plus you'd have to figure out their synergy, and then you'd have to compare the full team score against the other score and then come up with a number. It'd be very, very challenging, to be honest. We keep talking about the official simulation of Blitz. It would be interesting to see how they do it.
Anyway, those were just a few of the ideas I had of what they can do about this mode. The problem with all of these is they don't involve you playing the game. So maybe it's they want about the buffs, but that wouldn't be an advanced option, right? You know, the one they were talking about, apply all the buffs to Blitz? That wouldn't be equal, so that doesn't work. I don't know. I can't. They need to do something about Blitz. Maybe they do rotations on a weekly basis. Hey, this one will be like with the war buffs. This one will be with the raid buffs. I don't know. I'm trying to get creative here to make this useful, but they kind of box themselves right into a corner with this mode.
Yep. I don't think we're going to get any of that. We're going to get...
What do you think we're going to get?
So that Alliance donation one where you click on this and you can click on these two buttons instead of navigating around. That's what we're going to get, but for war. So when you click on war, you go to the participation screen or that home screen. Then you got to go click on the attack button. Then you got to click on the defend button. We're going to get one button, and that allows you to go straight into attack or straight into a defense. That's what we're going to get.
Okay.
That will save you 5 seconds.
That's the advanced option we're getting?
Yep, okay. That's what we're getting. And then probably the last thing in kind of a news realm, we always don't talk about the legendaries as much because we're in-game players, but FoxNext is sticking to the schedule that we outlined a few episodes back. Fury is next, then we expect Magneto. Black Bolt should return in about a month on August 17th, and then Maul will be around September 14th, so plan accordingly. Get those Asgardians leveled up, get those Inhumans leveled up. Those are great, great characters.
Well, I have my Karnak on trajectory for end of August, so I should be in good shape there. That's the one that I need, the Ebony Maul.
So. All right.
Yep.
Excellent. And then what else in the news? There's been a little bit of a brouhaha of sorts around what is the U7 Apex team. And so, we've talked at length. We've used the Chewburger Maul and Order team to varying degrees or no success in some regards. I've actually only used it on select nodes and used my bread and butter. The Scientist Supreme, Shuri, Black Bolt, Yo-Yo, and then Ultron team more often than not. And so the reason I say those are brouhaha is Dwartik basically came out and said he came up with that team first. And it was theory crafting, and then he basically proceeded to say there is no one team. Which I found interesting, and instinctively I think you and I, Frid, have found that to be the case, and that certain teams just don't work very well on a boss node or other things like that. So it was an interesting video, interesting take on things. The cool thing, we did get to see Symbiote Spider-Man and Carnage along with Sinister doing some cool things, and he did all kinds of different flavors of tests and teams. And even had like Yo-Yo and Shuri with Symbiotes and Sinister. So it was really interesting video and take, but instinctively I think we'd already gone down the path of rotating teams for different nodes.
Yeah, especially that Maul and Order, I think it suffers from a speed problem. It's too slow in some cases, and
it just does. That's my biggie thing.
It's a... Right, and you get into these boss nodes that put a million debuffs on you, and then you're done. So it's. Yeah. I use the same thing that you're describing for the boss teams.
Yeah, so that was the video that got me real hyped again, because way back when I was super super excited about Symbiote, and you guys get, it's not really that big a deal, blah blah blah. So the hype train is back on, and then that take with Sinister was kind of cool as well. So we'll see. And then the last thing in the news are still haven't heard. So we've already talked about Blitz, so we'll talk about that one again. But Yo-Yo, for some reason, is still only in the premium orbs. I guess FoxNext hasn't heard us, so maybe we have to keep saying this. There's still been 0 changes to low quality time. And then in terms of stores, we do have an update there. Yeah.
Breaking
so
news.
Toad is now been in the Blitz store, and his buddy Blob is coming to the Arena store, so that's nice. So that leaves the Raid store, where we haven't seen anyone since February. So who knows?
That one's taken a while. I wonder what's going on there.
Yeah, and of course had to pick the Arena store, where I'm basically can't do anything for the next 20 plus days. They're trying to get Crystal, but we'll see. At least it's farmable.
There was another thing, since we're talking about stores, I just thought about, and there's a new store coming. Do you have any?
Yeah,
any thoughts on
that's got to be the Ultimate store that they accidentally previewed. So that's got to be it, right?
What do you think is going to be in there? I can tell you from other games what generally lands there.
I would assume some gear or shards. I don't know. Anything's better than the Ultimate Orb. I find those terrible.
Yes. Normally it is the character in question, so Ultimus, that you can buy him for whatever it is, 5 shards at a time with the credits, as opposed to trying the orb.
Okay.
Then they normally throw some of these harder to deal with characters in there, probably like Raid in a rotating manner, and then some resources, the harder ones. So you could potentially see something like, I don't know, promo credits or something like that. But again, what's the balance? Like, who is not using these orbs? It's all endgame people. So.
Right.
But that's the reward for being so late, so that you're not wasting it in Ultimus orbs that lead to more Ultimus orbs.
So for 10 Ultimus orbs, you will get 1 elite promotion token or something ridiculous.
Right.
So.
The conversion is always awful in these stores. That's just the nature of the beast. But at least it gives you progression. So we'll see what they put in there. I'm looking forward to it. When is it? It's next week, right?
Yep, Tuesday at noon Pacific, so 3 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what that is, GMT. So, yeah, on that same news, we can also switch gears to talk about Festivus. We haven't had a proper Festivus in quite some time.
It's time.
It's time.
I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
The one I want to talk about is we were all excited about the 10 for 10 coming back, and then we saw it, and we're like, what in the world? There was one day where it was like 10 energy and 10 blitz charges. Today, Saturday, is 10 ability T3s. Come on.
It's so bad.
It's just like, let's make it terrible so they don't want it anymore? I mean, what the heck?
I mean, it was so exciting when they had it. Everybody's like, bring it back, blah, 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 blah. And then... They did this. I remember kind of automatically buying them, and by the third day, I'm like, "Why am I doing? These are awful. There's no value. Like it's bad."
Yep. So
I'm not sure what they're going for there, but
we brought it back, game players. What are you complaining about?
I know you've been talking about how much you love 10 for 10. Here you go. Except it's the worst.
Yeah,
it's the worst conversion rate yet. Oh well, maybe this is the end of that, right? They'll kill it.
Hopefully. Well, at least kill it in its current form. Let's go back to what it was.
Right. Everybody loved the other way. Anyway.
All right. Well, so Fred, we've gone a little long here. Do you want to cover alliance management, or you want to give it some proper time next week?
Let's leave it for next week, since we've kind of gone on here for a while. But I do want to just tease and not forget that we do like to give tips around how to manage your alliance. And this one is all around some of the metrics that we track. How do I go about it, and what does it do in terms of, how people view it and how it's used. So I want to cover some of that next week. So we'll bring it back next week and talk through all that good stuff.
Excellent. All right. Well, Fred, great show as always. Great time talking with you. We'll give everybody updates next week on how we're progressing and how you're going to achieve a 10 million Yellow Star Symbiote Spider-Man through your massive gold spend. But thanks, everybody. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Have a great week.
Yeah, we'll talk next week.